Hello. I cannot hear you. All right. I'm not sure if we're live. Terrence, are you around? Can you hear us?
I can hear y'all.
Okay. I can't hear Dewon. Hello, hello.
Can you hear?
Hello.
Can you
I can
hear?
hear
No?
Terrence.
Yes?
I
You
can hear
can't?
you. I can't hear Dewon.
What?
Oh,
Dewan, could you refresh your screen? Dewan? Just like click the arrow at the top. What was that? Home. Okay.
my first question was going to be what everybody's stop time was. Hello, hello. Still no. Okay.
So, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
No, Dewan.
I don't
Can
know
you hear
so.
Dewan?
I can't hear Dewon.
Well, we're both live on YouTube and Twitter again.
It's YouTube and Twitter?
Yeah. I don't see us live. And let me see. Let me see if we're live in a group too. We might be live in a group.
I look on Instagram. I don't see the AAGD's live thing.
Yeah, I know. That's what I don't. That's what's driving me nuts, to be honest with you. That's what I
Everybody
don't
who's
get.
watching is getting a real nice comedy right now.
Yeah. Just an introduction as to what it takes to get things right.
Yes.
So let's see. Okay. Okay, we got choices. I don't know why this is not going to where it's supposed to go.
Yeah,
So,
I see myself live. Okay.
oh, where?
On YouTube.
Oh, yes. Do you, but no Instagram, right?
No Instagram.
I got no Instagram either. Huh. Okay, I think we should just go on with it. But we got to hear Dwan.
Yeah.
Dwan, could you just you check your set? Oh, let's chat. He's got a chat. Let's grab the chat.
That's wild.
Mm-hmm. Huh. One person's watching
That
your
might be
live
me.
stream. Yeah, or me. Video.
Oh, your message went into the stream, into YouTube.
Oh, I didn't want that. Yeah. Okay. So this private. Okay, private. I should have done
There we
private.
go. Okay.
Okay. Thank you for catching that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, every time I hit Instagram Live, it tells me that it's not available. This is second. This is like the third time, and that just makes no sense. Because I know I'm doing that the right way. All right. Uh-huh. Even more confusing, it has the custom up like it's actually streaming to where it needs to stream.
Unless we just turn this into like a YouTube, Facebook live stream or something.
Yeah, I think that's about what's gonna happen.
Okay.
I don't really get what's happening with it not doing what it needs to do.
Okay. Let me see if
Now,
we can find it.
I just told it once again.
Okay.
I also am going to have Streamlabs. Let me see if I could get an appointment with them so that I can kind of like get a better idea.
At least we're bona fide streamers now, because every stream I've watched, even the experienced ones, have technical issues.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Oh, you know what? Maybe.
Yeah. I could post a link to the YouTube where we should live stream it in the group.
Yeah. That could be a good idea too.
Okay.
And I am still desperately trying to see if I can reconnect it.
Okay.
To Instagram.
Okay, tested everything on his end.
Create. Public. Next. Or maybe we just need to go to Yellow Duck next time. We'll see. Okay. Get that in there.
Okay, Dewon said everything's working on his end. He just texted me.
Okay. So the Instagram.
He asked me if he needs to come back in, and I said yes. Please come back in.
Yes. Once you start to create. 10 minutes.
Okay, I am going to post in the group.
Yeah, we can do that. Matter of fact, we could probably post in both groups.
Yeah.
Account settings. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh.
When one gets back, I'll ask it. Let me ask him in text.
Okay, let me see something.
Hard stop.
Stream. Nope, I don't trust that. Copy the stream key. Hmm.
Okay, so Dewon has to stop at about 7:30.
Gotcha. Good. Okay. So then I will get off and then I'll make sure everything is connected to something where somebody can see it somehow.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
I told everybody YouTube Live.
okay. Mm.
In the post that was like, and on Black History Month.
And I know. What did you just say?
I said in the Facebook post, I was like, we had technical difficulties trying to stop us on Black History Month.
It's the man. You know, it sucks. Like once you get started, there's no way to tell it to like pause it or something so that you can kind of look at what's going on.
Wow. Okay. Well, you could say you're intimately familiar with Streamlabs now.
Yeah.
There we go.
What's up?
Okay,
What's up? What's up? Can you hear me now?
Okay, there we go.
Oh,
I can hear you now.
oh man. All right. Okay. Yeah, I was are we live now?
Yeah, we're live.
Oh.
We've been live on YouTube I think this whole time. So,
Oh wow. Wow.
YouTube Live. So I sent a link in all of our AAGD groups. So we
Okay.
should have people trickling in.
Okay. Good deal.
So
Now,
I'm gonna go ahead. Oops, sorry.
No, I do have a 2-year-old, so if he runs by the office, I'm just letting. I am in a quiet spot right now, for now, but just forewarning you, if he comes and knocks on the door, and okay.
Gotcha. Oh, 2-year-old. No, we totally understand, and we understand any hard stops. We will do a condensed spotlight, but I'm sure it will not be lacking for insights and nuggets of wisdom.
Right. Right.
So to get started, let me introduce you for y'all who are watching. This is our spotlightee of the month. That creative guy owns a design business that specializes in graphic design, web design, and brand development, and he reps small town designers. Welcome to Dewon Hall.
Hey. Glad to be on. Thank you so much, Gabby, for having me. And always thinking about a brother. Like I told you earlier, us small town folks, we got to stand up and be down for each other. You know what I'm saying? So thank you so much for having me on.
Of course, thank you, and thank you for to you and to everybody watching for bearing with us with these technical difficulties on
On
Black
Black
History
History
Month.
Month,
On
right? But
Black
that's okay. Hey,
History
we're
Month.
gonna make it happen. Okay, we're gonna
That's
make
true.
it happen, Captain.
So I would love to hear you describe your creative journey from when you started. And some people like to start when they were little and they drew with crayons. Some people start when they graduated college. Wherever you want to start, wherever you want to start talking about the beginning of your creative journey to now.
Okay. I always like to share this story. I've always been creative, even when it comes to writing. My teacher, my late teacher, Mrs. Montesi, told me I was a great creative writer, but I hated grammar. Now, that doesn't make any sense, but yeah, that's how it went. Um, when I was in high school, my girlfriend at the time, she gave me this magazine, and I think it was a teen magazine. And it had this illustration of Madonna in it, but it was like a line drawing, and it was for an art scholarship. And so, me not really taking it seriously, I did it and I sent it in. And I got a call one day from this guy, and he was, telling me about my drawing, and myself and this other guy had the highest scores. And I was like,
Ooh,
wow, I kind of shocked myself. I never considered myself to be an illustrator. My late brother, who passed away maybe like 6 years ago, he was the illustrator. Now, he could really draw. But I always knew I had the talent and creativity in me. And so when he told me about, the scholarships and the opportunities, as a 17-year-old, I really didn't take it seriously. Really didn't talk to my parents about it. And I had been, fed this fallacy that, you can't really make money in art. And I'll
mm,
say this is where mentorship comes in. Because
right,
if I would have had somebody in my life who said, man, what are you doing? And knocked me upside the head and said, you better, take advantage of this opportunity, I would have, but I didn't have that. And this is,
right.
I love my parents, and this is not in any way a knock against them at all. I love my mom and my dad. But if I had a mentor, somebody, who could have talked to me about taking that seriously, I would have took that chance. Whatever school I went to that offered me a scholarship, that would have been great. I mean, they were going to pay for everything.
Wow.
Color pencils, everything I need, they were going to pay for it. So I missed that opportunity. But let me tell you how God works. So I went to college. I went to the Jackson State University in Jackson, Mississippi, that has the greatest band in the land, the Sunny Boom of the South. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I majored in marketing. I did really well in that. And so I ended up coming back home, right? And I went to, well, I enrolled at Delta State University. They have a great, great art program there. And that's in my hometown of Cleveland, Mississippi. And I knew it was my, I don't want to say destiny, but I knew it was in my cards to be in the design field. So when I graduated in marketing, I really couldn't find a job, and so I went back to school because, as I told you earlier, I've always been creative, and so I went back to school, majored in art, and as soon as I graduated, I found a job,
Mm,
which was wild. And so I was like, man, I should have. Again, if I had that mentorship and that somebody in my ear saying, man, you need to take advantage of this opportunity, I wouldn't have come full circle right back to art and creativity. So whoever's listening, don't believe the hype that you can't make money in art. You can. You just have to work hard, just like with any other major, any other field, any other industry, any other career. You just need to work hard at it. And so, I mean, that's my journey right there, in full circle, right back to design. I've been doing it now for 20 plus years and have been really successful at it. Young designer, went through my growing pains and things of that nature, but that's my journey. That's how I started.
oh, that's amazing. It's interesting the difference that mentorship can make in a
Mm-hmm.
career.
Mm-hmm.
Do you ever get caught up on like the what ifs? Like what would have happened if I did this or did that? in your career?
Yep, I do. I think we all do at some
Hmm.
point, some more than others, but that plays into or is in the pot of, being critical of yourself, being your own worst critic. And us designers, we are that, not saying other, industries or people in other career fields don't do that, but we are our own worst critics. And so that's in the pot. And other things like, if I had more money, what if, both parents were in the home? Sometimes we don't like to talk about that. What if I had both parents in the home? What if my parents had more money? What if I went to this school? Or what if I had this opportunity? Or what if I would have taken this job instead of that job? I absolutely, even now, have the what ifs. So you can't let that really get you down. And it takes time to get to a point where you really stop being self-critical and you really look at yourself in the mirror and say, you know what, this is how God made me. He created me to be creative. He created me to be in the field of graphic design or web design or UX design or UI design or sculpting or illustrating. This is what he gifted me with. And so I have to respect the gift and love the gift and take advantage of the gift while I have an opportunity to do so. So absolutely, I have the what ifs even now, later in my career.
We speaking of the what ifs, I think sometimes we also think about like, what if I was here? What if I moved here? What if I moved there? And
Absolutely.
this is a segue to something that we have talked about, and I brought up in the group a couple times, and you brought up in the group too, is being a small town designer, not being a designer
hmm
that lives next to a major metropolitan area.
hmm
The closest metropolitan area to me is a couple of hours away, and that's where my local AIGA chapter was when I was starting out, and it was really hard to get out there. Um, so being a small town designer, how do you think being a small town designer has affected your career, your career and how you run your business?
That's a great question. I never, excuse me, I never moved to a large city. I've just been blessed to have jobs or find jobs in the area I'm in. And to your point of living, 2 hours away from a metropolitan area, Memphis, Tennessee is like 2.5 hours away from me, and Jackson, Mississippi is like 2 hours away from me. So in between that area, it's a bunch of small towns. So I never, took that leap to move to a big city. It's just that God has just really blessed me to find jobs here. And so it affected me from the standpoint of accessibility.
Hmm.
It was hard for me to get to the big conferences. It was hard for me to get to the big networking events because, being a young designer, you don't have that type of money. And so
Mm-mm.
I missed those. Yeah, exactly. I missed those events because I didn't have the money to travel like I needed to because I lived so far away from a metropolitan area or from where, I could really access and network with people who could have potentially been clients, who could have potentially been mentors or great, design friends that I met. I missed that. So living in a small town affected me in that way. And then that goes back to the what if, what if I would have moved when I was younger, to a larger city? But what I've come to realize, Gabby, is that, God has placed me here to make an impact. And when I accepted that, I began to really see my business grow. I have clients all over the nation, believe it or not. And we talked about the roller coaster. Sometimes you're up and sometimes you're down in that little dead spot. And then you go back up slowly and you reach the peak, then you glide back down again. But I've been blessed, man, to have some really, really good clients, even living in this small area from, Pennsylvania to Miami to Texas to California to New York. I mean, everywhere. So, it affected me, but it didn't stop me, if that makes sense.
No, that makes sense. We before the live, we were kind of talking about how you learn to adapt, and it
hmm
strengthens those skills that you have to have in order to adapt to it, like building your network online, building your network virtually. So how would you say you make yourself stand out as somebody that lives in a small town, and maybe you know, you can't go and meet your client in the major metropolitan area? I mean, you could, but how do you make yourself stand out as somebody that's making connections virtually?
That's a great question. You got some good questions, Gabby. My goodness.
Thank you.
Just being myself, like right now on the live, just being myself, representing where I'm from, not being ashamed of where I'm from, being from a small town. Sometimes you can get intimidated by people who live in larger metropolitan areas. I don't know if you've ever experienced that,
Oh
but
yeah.
sometimes you get intimidated. Man, I'm from a small town. These guys are from New York and Houston and Dallas and Miami and San Francisco. You have to be confident in who you are.
Yeah.
So I just be myself. My work stands out. I think I do really good work. I'm not the best designer in the world. There's always room for improvement, but I know the skill set that I have. And when I talk to people in other areas, they hear the confidence in my voice. They don't look at me and say, okay, he's from a small town. And even if they do, Gabby, I just still, exude the confidence that I need to let them know, hey, I can perform this work for you. I can build your brand visuals from the ground up. I can rebrand your organization, no matter how big it is. And so just having that confidence, knowing that I can go in and compete because it is a competition to a certain point because
Mhm.
everybody's trying to eat, right? So
Right.
just having that confidence and making sure that I represent and just stand out in that way. Of course, make sure the work is good. So when you say your work is good, when they go to your website, they want to say, "Oh, his work is good. Let me check him out." So making sure that the work is good when I say it's good, but just having that confidence, man, really, really helps me stand out.
Oh, that's awesome. And Dave McClinton in the comments said talent has no specific address. And that's
Exactly. Exactly. It doesn't. If you got it, you got it, right? It doesn't matter where you're from. We see that in sports all the time, right? Sports is a great thing to
right.
look at. I'll take Jerry Rice, one of the greatest football players ever. He came from Mississippi Valley State, right here in the Mississippi Delta. He's one of the greatest players to ever play in the NFL. So it doesn't matter. Talent does not have a specific address. He's exactly right.
Wow. I'll take your word for that because I'm not big into football, but I'll
Oh,
take your
that's
word for
okay. Well, hey, I'm here to educate you.
that.
If you
Okay.
need
Yeah.
somebody to teach you, I'm here for you, Gabby.
Okay. There we go. See? Yeah. Standing out. Yeah. Um, so speaking of doing good work, where do you find what inspires you? Where do you find inspiration to do that good work?
My mom, believe it or not, having conversations with my mom, and this is a sort of I wouldn't say transparent, but personal type of thing. We've had conversations, and my mom is extremely, extremely creative. Our parents, some of us can relate to that. They didn't have the opportunities that we had. And so they didn't really take advantage of the talent or the God given gifts that they had, maybe to a certain level, but not
Hmm.
to the level that they could have, gone to. My mom would have been a great interior designer or interior decorator. Like she would have been awesome, man. She would have been really good. And so she is my motivation, to keep going and keep understanding that, hey, you have the talent, it's in your bloodline. Do it for her, to a certain level. You got to do it for yourself too, to make sure that you keep things in perspective and keep your priorities straight. But she is definitely my motivation. Other Black designers are my motivation, right? Because when I represent at a high level, I'm representing you, Gabby. So when a company says Dewon does great work, and you don't want to, you never want to play, you don't try to play the race card, but that's what it
Right.
is, especially in this country. Dewon is a really good Black designer. So if he referred Gabby, Gabby must be good too. So I'm representing other Black designers. So that's my motivation to make sure I perform at a high level, and just making sure I take the talent that God has given me, take the gifts that He's given me, and perform at a high level. Because honestly, without Him, I wouldn't be able to do it. So those are my motivations.
Oh, that's beautiful. Um, yeah, like when you talked about how some people, like some of our predecessors, our parents, generations before us, they weren't able to
Hmm.
pursue the talents that they had. Like I look at relatives that I have and I see that they weren't able to pursue it. Like I can pursue it. Like they've enabled me to be
Hmm.
able to pursue things.
Hmm. Right, and I
What?
would like to add this. I'm sorry, I didn't
Yeah.
mean to cut
No,
you
no,
off.
go ahead.
I wanted to finish this thought. This just popped in my spirit, man. My brother who passed away. about 6 years ago. Shared with you earlier, he was an awesome illustrator. He's my motivation too. He really, really is, man. I used to watch him draw things. I'm like, man, I can't illustrate like that. He would have been really, really good. So he is definitely my motivation to keep going. Didn't want to forget my beloved brother. Yeah, but yeah, that's it.
Oh, wow. What kind of things did he illustrate out of curiosity?
Everything. Flowers, faces, cartoons. And he can draw. I was jealous because he didn't have to look at stuff to draw
Oh,
it.
wow.
Some of us have to look at it and then illustrate it. Like that's
Mhm.
me. But he didn't have to look at anything. It would just come from his mind, man. So he illustrated anything. Anything you put in front of him, he could, mimic it, or he can, come straight from the dome with illustrating things.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah, yeah.
It sounds like that was kind of his superpower.
It
So,
was. It
what would you
was.
say is your creative or design or marketing or strategy? So, what's your superpower as a creative?
Oh man. My personality and my organizational skills. They say that designers are very unorganized. Like if you look at my desk, like it's really organized.
Oh wow.
I've seen, designers who have everything on top of their desk, but they are excellent designers. They're
Mhm.
really, really good. My organizational skills, my communication skills, that really helps me kind of sell the job because we are marketers and sellers to a point. So I would say my personality is my superpower. And then I can show my other superpowers when I get the job.
Right, right.
Yeah, and then being humble, a good listener, you know, um, just those really, really good intangibles. I probably said more than what you asked, but yeah, they just popped in my brain.
No, sometimes I think we don't talk about that stuff enough. I think that
Hmm.
especially when you're a small town designer, you're meeting with the client. Sometimes, like for me, I'll hop off a discovery call and I'll hop off that initial call and I'll notice
Hmm.
that they seem more more excited about the fact that I was organized and I use a
Yeah.
project manager than they do about like they seem like more at ease and more
Hmm.
confident
Hmm.
because I come off as organized and I come off as
Exactly.
I'm big on
Exactly.
communication. Speaking of communication, how do you maintain boundaries as a business owner?
Ooh, man, how do I maintain saying no?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a simple answer. Saying no to the jobs that I know in my gut that I don't need to take. And
Hmm.
again, that goes back to being a young designer. When you living paycheck to paycheck, you're trying to get some money in, and you'll take those jobs because, hey, man, I need to pay this bill. I need to put some food on the table. And I think most of us have experienced that. Those of us who haven't, man, God bless you. But I think most of us have experienced that. But definitely, you know, just being in a position to where I don't have to do that anymore, that is really a really good thing in my life right now, especially having a family, of course. You can't be out there all willy nilly and just doing anything as it relates to the financial situation and things of that nature. So yeah, yeah.
So, how would you say, or let me ask this: how did you get started? Like, how did you start your business? Was it you were working full time and then you eventually started as a side hustle, or did you just start the business?
I was working full time, excuse me, and then I started the side hustle. Yeah, that's exactly how it started. Realized that, hey, I can make a little bit of extra money by
Hmm.
doing design work. And so eventually, came up with the name and started to get a few clients here and there, really started to do the work. So I had a job and then I started my business.
Hmm. What was it like juggling the side hustle and the business, or side hustle and the job at the same time before you went all in?
Um, it was tough
Hmm.
because you really had to learn how to manage your time. And I do still have a full-time job now, just to be clear. I still do have a 9 to 5. But
Smart.
yeah, earlier on it was tough because I really had to learn time management and I
Hmm.
really had to learn how to again organize my projects in such a way that I Swiss cheese it do some work here, take a break, do some work there. Of course, working after you get off work, having those late nights and early mornings. But I got to a point where I learned how to really juggle it really well. And so I didn't have to stay up so late anymore. But it was tough initially, but eventually I got the hang of it.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think we talked about that earlier where we were saying it's smart to not just jump into entrepreneurship full time.
Mm-hmm.
It's smart to have that full time job.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Mm-hmm.
if the Lord compels you, go all in on the
Right. Right.
entrepreneurship, but it is
Exactly.
really smart to do
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
exactly. And can I speak to that real quickly? Just have my
Yeah, go
nine to
ahead.
five. So those of you who are watching, don't believe, and I share this with Gabby, don't believe the hype that you have to quit your job. You don't have to quit your job. Your job is paying your benefits, is giving you a check every month or every 2 weeks. Those of you who have families, it helps, sustain your family. The side hustle is great. And when you get to a point financially, you have the capital to quit your job, then you quit your job. And Gabby made a great point. If you're compelled, those of us who believe in the faith and believe in God and believe in Jesus, when we're compelled to quit, then we will quit, but still you have to have the sense to know, okay, I need to save up the money. I need to make sure I have at least 3 months saved, in addition to being able to pay for benefits, being able to, do those things that your job is doing for you right now. So you don't have to quit your job soon. You don't have to be in a rush to quit your job and then jump full time into entrepreneurship.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I jumped into entrepreneurship because I couldn't find a position, and I spent the past few years just networking, connecting, learning how to
Mm-hmm.
manage projects, learning how to talk to clients and all of that. And I'm
Right.
leveraging it to get a full-time position. And
Mm-hmm.
as I'm working on that, I'm finding myself gravitating more towards teams, agency contracting with agencies that have teams and working within.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just me
Right.
because
Right.
being by yourself in a business is very difficult. So it's, you know, it's interesting how our creative careers can take different paths.
Yeah.
There's so many different paths that
Mm-hmm.
it could
It's
take.
amazing. And then
Yeah.
your situation is a little different. You couldn't find a job. So that's different. Sometimes being in that situation forces you to be an entrepreneur, before
Mhm.
you're really ready to do it. But that's a different situation, as you said.
Yeah, it's like I asked about the what ifs earlier because sometimes that
Mm-hmm.
still gets me and then at the same time I'm like, well, I learned a lot from it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It made me
Yeah.
stronger. Speaking of of past and whatnot and what ifs and the past, what advice would you give your younger self from current Dewan?
Number one, find a mentor,
Mm-hmm.
someone I can talk to, who is in the same career field I'm in. And you know what? They didn't even have to be in the same career field. They could have just been somebody who was there to give me sound advice. That's number one. Number two, um, manage your money. Again, that kind of falls into having a mentor, somebody who can tell you, don't spend your money, man. You need your money.
Mm-hmm. You have to save.
Um, exactly. Don't compare yourself. That is a really big crutch because when you start looking at other people, especially in our career field and how they design and what they do, you begin to really doubt yourself. And so you won't go after those clients that you feel like you can get because you don't feel you have the talent or you don't have the skill level as this other designer who you've seen did some really good work. And it's really, man, it's deadly to a certain point when you compare yourself. So I would tell my younger self, don't compare yourself to anybody. You can respect the work, you can glean from the work, get ideas or whatever the case may be. Of course, not copy, but don't compare yourself to other designers, man, because it goes into the pot of imposter syndrome when you start to win awards and you've had the things that you've done, the accomplishments that show that you are capable of doing the work. It creeps up every now and then. So I would tell my younger self, don't compare yourself to anyone.
Wow, that's really important. What would you? Oh, Dave commented again. He said the other designers are only posting their best stuff. And yeah, I
Yes,
mentioned.
right.
I think I mentioned this before the live started. Where I was saying everybody just posts their highlight reel, and
Hmm.
that's not a Gabby original. I've read that off of social media, but
Right.
everybody is posting the best stuff of their lives, the
Exactly.
great stuff, not the
That's
negative
a
stuff.
great point. Thanks, Dave. That is an excellent, excellent point. And you understand why people do it sometimes is because, if you're trying to get a job, of course you post your best work, but
Mhm.
sometimes in the design community, it's good to show that bad work, the work that's not good, to show people,
Yeah.
hey, I didn't do everything perfectly, but I did this logo over here. It was terrible. I did
Mhm.
some work that the client didn't even approve of or they didn't even use. So it's good to share that side of the story too.
Yeah, it is for sure. Um, also train of thought.
I'm sorry. I hope I didn't do that.
No, there's so much insight and wisdom. Um, but yeah, what would you say is the best way to take advantage of AAGD?
um, Ask questions.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. Post your work and ask questions. I'm guilty. I'm guilty. I'm guilty, Gabby, of not doing
You're
that
busy.
initially.
We're all busy.
No, I think when I first, it's so funny you bring that up because I remember when Terrence, when he first started to build the website and when he first, started to do those things. So I've been a part of the AAGD game for a while now, believe
Yeah.
it or not. And so to see it grow to such an exponential level to a point where it's now an agency, man, that's like mind blowing. Um, but yeah, I just, you know, it's it's really good to just sit back and look at where you've come from, um, and just try not to get emotional. Just really take the time to
Oh,
think about where you've come from and how you've been blessed in such a way to grow to this point. Um, yeah, yeah, yeah,
I I think no, I think that's great, and I think for that's why we have AAGD. So we are a community of Black designers that can, stop and say, hey, look at where you come from, or what
yeah.
do you need,
Mm-hmm.
or I
Mm-hmm.
post it every so often in the community where I say, what do you need? Like, we can help you. You're not everything that you're going through is things that other designers have gone through, and we can support you, even if it's
Mm-hmm.
not you don't have to, you can comfort somebody without fixing it. And even if you can't fix it, you can have community
Right.
here to help you. The things that you're going through aren't unique to you.
Exactly. Exactly. And it's. I think it was early on. It was a fear of being
Yeah.
judged, a
Yeah, for
fear
sure.
of they're going to see my work and they're going to say it's terrible, or
Hmm.
they're going to see my work and they're going to laugh at it. It's this fear that we have that we're competing and we're, we're competing, if that makes sense. It's
Right.
a fear or a lack of not understanding that it's a community. Like when you were little and you were growing up, in the neighborhood, it was a community. If you did something wrong, the neighbor had the right to knock you upside the head. You know what I'm saying? And
Right.
so we have to look at it in such a way where it's there to help us, to give us the
Hmm.
advice, to give us the access we need. We talk about us being small town designers. Imagine if we, ask more questions about how do we get access to, things that are happening in larger cities. We just never know what may happen. So we have to look at it as a family to a certain point in a
Right.
way that we can really get the help we need. And so, me being guilty of it initially, I had to stop and say, you know what, stop tripping, man. Stop tripping. Post the work, ask the questions. You just never know who you might help.
Yeah.
You just never know who is watching you. You
Right.
really don't. Like somebody could be watching you right now, Gabby, and say, "Man, she does some awesome work. I really love her work, but I'm scared to post. I want to ask her a question, but I'm
Right.
afraid." And so you keep posting, and they finally talk to you,
Mhm.
and they find out, man, Gabby's so cool. You know, I thought she was gonna curse me out or something if I asked her a question. So just thinking about,
Yeah.
AAGD as a family and a community where we're there to grow and glean off each other. And if you want critiques, understand you do have to have thick skin. Let's be honest to be able to take the critique, but don't take it personal.
Mhm.
We're here to help you. Even those of us who are seasoned designers, there's some work we've done. It's like, okay, that's kind of average. That's okay. We post it. Is this good? And then people say, well, you could do this or try this or do that. And the next thing it works, and you've gotten
For
the
sure.
help that you needed. So absolutely look at it as a family and a community.
Absolutely. I got the most value out of AAGD when I started reaching out to people, when I was in their DMs and I was like, "Hey, this is what I
Mm-hmm.
do. I love what you do. I'd love to hop on a call and connect." Or how did you do this? Or I like how you did. Like I started reaching out to people. Yeah, like I will greet new designers that come in and join the
Mm-hmm.
community,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of what they say, I ask them, what do you need from the community? And if you tell me, I'll work on it, and I'll
Mm-hmm.
work on bringing more of that value to our members. But the common threads, the common things I always hear are, I joined because I feel more of like a sense of community with other Black designers.
Yep.
I joined because the other day somebody said I wanted to learn more about freelancing. We have so many freelancers here. We have so many
Man.
freelancers specifically that, like, she specifically went from full time and wants to go get into more freelance. We have so many people that have done that. We have so many resources and people here that are just available to, you could tap into that resource.
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, I agree 100%. Again, I think honestly, it's fear. I think that's the
Hmm.
driving force behind people not really asking or posting work. They're just afraid. They're afraid.
Yeah.
And some people, because the group is so large, some people post and they don't get a response as
Right.
quickly as they thought they would get a response. And so now
Hmm.
you develop this complex of, well, nobody's really paying attention to me, so I'm not going to post again you know
Yeah.
Early on, I was like that. I was like, man, I posted my work,
Oh
nobody
yeah.
said no, I'm not going to post again. And so you got to kind of grow out of that attitude
Mhm.
in order to get the help you need.
Yeah. And then too, if the post didn't get attention, then reach out to the person that you really wanted to hear from anyway.
Right. Exactly. There you go. Look, I
Yeah.
hope we blessing y'all on this live feed tonight. Amen. Do we need to pass the offering
Amen.
plate?
So we are getting toward the last few minutes of our live. It was a pleasure getting to know more about your story and hearing all of your insights. So for my last question, I always like to ask this. I think it
Uh-oh.
helps people think
Uh-oh.
about the possibilities. If I mailed you a check and that check was like Jeff Bezos, build a spaceship, build a station on the moon, build a spaceship to go to the next galaxy, like crazy amounts of money, unlimited resources.
Hmm.
What would you do with that money? And some people say, I do stuff for me. Some people say I do stuff for the world, but it could be anything.
Oh man, you just had to end it that way, huh? Let me think. Let me think. What would I do? You would think that would be a quick answer, but sometimes it's good to
It's
really
hard.
think about your answer before you answer.
Mhm.
um, I would definitely give some to the church for sure because of my belief in my faith. Number one. Number two, I will get out of debt.
American rite of passage.
Everything cash, straight cash, homie.
Yeah.
No credit cards. If I can't pay cash for it, I don't want it. No, I'm just playing. I know you need business credit and things of that nature. Um, get out of debt. I would definitely start my own design firm, but it wouldn't be a big firm. It would be a small firm.
Hmm.
Um, Definitely full of black designers. I'm gonna be real with you. I want all black designers. Um, Oh, Gab, I need to think about that question. Can I come back on another interview and give you
Of
some more answers?
course. Yeah, absolutely. Some hard
No,
questions.
probably invested, of course, invested. Um, do things for the family. I guess all the obvious answers, but definitely build a community. Build a community. In this small town area, engage youth who want to be in design or in art and really
Hmm.
help them be a springboard for them to
Right.
help them say, look, I can do this because I have the financial support. I have the money to go to art school. I have the money to um, do the things I need to do to get that art degree and just show them, hey, you can make money being a designer. You can make money being an artist. Now, how I would do that, I don't know. But since I have Jeff Bezos' money, I got time to figure it out.
You do. And what's funny is that you're not the only person who said teaching, the youth about, I said the youth like an old person, teaching
It's
the
okay.
youth
It's okay. You can be. Hey. It's okay. It's all right. You see this grade, this salt and pepper. You gonna get there one day. It's okay.
I will. Uh, teaching kids, especially Black kids, about the possibilities of a career in design. That's not the first. You're
Mhm.
not the first person who said that. So maybe I can connect you with the other people who also mentioned that, because I think that's, if it's a pattern, that means there's a need for that, and obviously we both know there's a need for
Yeah,
that.
absolutely. I was working with this nonprofit called the Floyd and Bessie Johnson Foundation, and they did a spinoff of an art organization called Art, Acknowledging Real Talent, which was named by this young lady who lived here. She's graduated now from college. She's married, but there was a time where we would mentor young artists, like how to do. We would do murals, we would do graphic design sessions, we would do all of those things. So if I had that type of money, I definitely would start that back up, because there are so many people, I'm quite sure you can attest to this, there are so many young people in your area who are in small towns. They don't know us, they don't see our faces. They want to go into design, they want to go into art, but they don't see our faces, and so they don't believe they can do it. So I definitely will make that a big part of building a community.
Oh, I think that's amazing, and I hope you keep that in mind in the future.
Oh yeah, I will most definitely. When I get, especially when I get that Jeff Bezos money. Yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah.
So I will end it on that. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you everybody who's watching for joining me. Thank you for bearing with us with technical difficulties. We didn't let it stop us.
We didn't. It's
The
Black
one
History Month.
is Black History Month. You can't let it stop us. We never let it stop us, but especially not now.
Exactly.
Devon, where can people find you if they want to connect with you?
You can visit my website at thatcreativeguy.com to check out the work. If you want to email me directly, it's Dewon, DEWON, at thatcreativeguy.com. You can follow me on Instagram, Facebook under That Creative G, and you can also follow me on LinkedIn at Dewon Hall.
Thank
I
you
think
so
that's
much,
it.
Devon.
I think
I
that's it,
think
Gabby.
okay.
That's it. That's it.
Okay, cool. It'll be more when you get that Jeff Bezos money and you invent a way to read like text across our eyelids or
Hey,
something.
you know what to say. You know what to say.
Thank you so much, Dewan. Thank you everybody
You're
for
welcome.
joining us. Stay tuned actually stay tuned next month as I spotlight Cameron T. Moore, and
Cool.
join us tomorrow from 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern on Mighty Networks. We are going to have our group gather grow. I think I had that right. Yeah, group gather grow, where we come together as a group, we talk about a skill or we talk about a topic, and we grow together. So be sure to join us for that. Everybody have a good night.
Have a good night. It was a pleasure.